overtake the Lakers after LeBron and the crew dropped their second straight game, but the Clips still trailed the red-hot Jazz, who have won 10 straight games. Shout out to them. It's a different story for Miami in the East. The Heat have the third worst record in the conference and have lost 5 straight games. Stephen A., is your focus on the Heat or the Clippers after this one?
For me, it's the Heat. Okay. You're the reigning Eastern Conference champions. Now, I want to make sure everybody understands they're 6-12 on the season, 5th straight loss. They were ravaged by COVID. We understand this. You know, the times that we're living in, they've definitely been compromised. Plus, Jimmy Butler's only played like 6 games. Tyler Hero has missed 7 of the 18 games. I'm just looking at some of the things that they did. Avery Bradley has missed 10 games. That was a big pickup for them in the offseason as well. I get that. Here's the message that I want to send to the Miami Heat. If you don't win, it's going to be your fault as players. Now, let's analyze this because it's important that we understand. We understand that Mickey Arison is a first-class owner. Okay, first class. We know who the hell Pat Riley is. We know who that dude is, the winner within. And his staff, Andy Ellsberg and all of them, brother, they know what they're doing. Hell, even from a PR perspective. Max, I don't know if you noticed, I go back with Tim Donovan almost 30 years. The man gave me a credential when I was a high school writer so I could cover the Knicks. You understand? For the New York Daily
Young
News.
whippersnapper. Wish I knew you that.
I tell you, 30 years ago, you were out of college.
I know that. I was. It's true. It's true. It's over. I've accepted it. But the point is this. That's how far back I go with Tim Donovan. I love that man. I love that brother. And Rob Wilson, his guy, and he used to work with media relations in Philadelphia. I go back a long ways with these people. These are character individuals. It's a first-class organization. And you know with Pat Riley leading the way and Eric Spoelstra is a hell of a coach. Miami Heat, people are looking at y'all like y'all were a fluke. Like last year was just a one-hit wonder. We've been talking about Brooklyn. We've been talking about Philadelphia. We've been talking about Milwaukee. Ain't nobody thinking about y'all. Nobody's thinking about the Miami Heat. So if you Jimmy Butler, if you Bam Adebayo with your new max deal, if you Tyler Hero, who's a stud, I love that brother. And you know how I feel about him and Duncan Robinson. Kendrick Nunn, I like you too. Iguodala's a statesman, of course. Okay, you picked up Avery Bradley. Okay, you got this COVID thing to get over, I understand. But when y'all get y'all behinds back on the court, remember their expectations. People are looking at the Miami Heat and they're saying, y'all are flukes. What you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it? Now, we know where I want to be. We know where I want to be. We know where I want to be. We understand where I want to be.
That's what this is all about.
Go ahead, Max. Floor's yours.
Oh,
we know where I want to be.
Pulled your own card.
Was I hiding it? Have I ever hit that card? How depressed I was, Matt. Can you tell the audience out there how depressed I was because of COVID when the Heat and the Lakers met in the finals? How depressed was I, Max?
Not only that, after years of Cleveland being in the finals.
You can't make that stuff up.
It's true.
We would have been in Florida for the national championship game, Florida for the Super Bowl. Yeah. What do you want me to do? It's a pandemic.
That's what you get for letting that affect every rooting interest you have.
I've been covering the NBA for 25 years. I had one wish.
Miami to play LA.
Miami to play LA, and it happened during COVID.
Remember when LeBron went to Miami, people were thinking the Lakers and the Heat might meet up in the finals, and it didn't
People
happen.
wanted me to get on LeBron and talk about him when he left Cleveland to go to South Beach. I said, Lake Erie or South Beach? Thank you. Please, I couldn't have been more grateful.
Yeah, right? Why was the press so bitter? The press should have been
Let me tell you something.
Hometown
No, I don't
kid.
understand. LeBron and I haven't spoke since he went back to Cleveland. That's why, damn it. What the hell you want me to say? I ain't got nothing. I look at him and go like this.
All right, we're out.
Look. Okay, I was going to talk about the Clippers.
No, I want to hear about the Clippers. You
we got
really
stuff
want to
to do.
see Jimmy Johnson and Stephen A.
We got stuff
All right,
to do.
Coming up next year on First Take, this is going to be a lot of fun. Encore rolled right off the tongue there. The Lakers have dropped their last 2. Last night, they lost to the lowly Pistons by 15, but the King was without AD. Max Kellerman, what does this say about LeBron's MVP case that, he's not winning without having his counterpart, Anthony Davis?
Not talking about who's going to wind up winning the MVP. I'm talking about right now. This shows what I mean about Embiid. Okay. Embiid, at this moment, if I had to choose an MVP, I'm giving it to Joel Embiid. Look what just happened to the Lakers. I know they're on a road trip, and everyone loses on the road eventually and all that. Who didn't play last night? They can't do it without AD. They lost to a bad team. A bad team. Now look at Embiid. Remember I told you, LeBron has played all the games. Embiid's missed 4 games. So you're like, okay, if they're comparable in value, obviously the guy who played 4 more games is more valuable, except that hasn't hurt the Sixers in the standings. They're number 1 in the Eastern Conference. By the way, the Lakers aren't anymore in the Western Conference. And what happened with and without Embiid? With that 4 games, since it hasn't hurt the Sixers in the conference, what that 4 game shows is what they are with him and without him. They're 0-4. They got stomped out by the same team that just beat the Lakers, who they beat with Embiid. So Embiid is the whole shooting match for the Sixers. With him, they're dominant. They just beat the Lakers head-to-head.
Yeah.
And by the way, Embiid was giving them the business to the point where they took him out of the game. LeBron shoved him when he was up in the air. Gasol gave him a little help from behind, didn't give him a place to land. Embiid came down so hard, he really wasn't the same after that. Sixers still beat him. They hung tough enough to beat him, but the Lakers came back on him. Embiid's value is so pronounced to the Sixers. LeBron is great. There's no question. He's up there. But he didn't have AD, and they lost to one of the worst teams in basketball. If you're splitting hairs here. But right now, Embiid's the MVP of the league.
I'm closing my eyes right now because I don't like when you give me a reason to come to the defense of LeBron James. It really bothers me. You see, I'm one of those people that believe that LeBron James, listen, I think LeBron James gets enough praise. You know, that's why I have to put up the ticket. Great husband, great father.
Put it up?
You know, I think we should put it up. I mean, great father, great husband, great businessman. You know, very philanthropic. I mean, the dude he's unbelievable. Okay? And I think that it's appalling to me that people in his camp are disgusted at the fact that, oh my God, it is an insult to call him the second greatest player in the history of the sport ever created. I mean, my God, to call him number 2. I mean, you just stabbing him in the heart. Oh my God, what an insult. You know what I'm saying? What an
Never
insult.
mind what you're saying about Jordan if you call LeBron number 1. Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But in this case,
there it is.
this is the kind of stuff. This is a great husband, great father, generous philanthropist. I mean, this is a director, a producer. I mean, the guy's phenomenal. I mean, just put it all up there. Let's make sure we get that out the way. But in this particular situation,
Hollywood power broker.
That's right, Hollywood power broker. Put that.
Y'all are hilarious.
It's all there. It's all there.
All-around
It's all
guy.
there. The resume is impeccable.
God,
Okay,
that?
but let me tell you something. In this particular instance, this is what LeBron is just. This should disgust him, Mac. Your take. Here's why. Because we got a headline there, and we're talking about LeBron James in question, the MVP, and all. It's one game, and guess what? It's Detroit. You're sitting up there. Those are a bad team. Max. That's what happens. Do you know the worst team in NBA history actually won 9 games? Do you realize that? Worst team in history actually won 9 games. It's Philadelphia 76ers many years ago. What I'm saying to you is this: it happens. And Anthony Davis doesn't play last night. At least 10 dudes played 13 minutes. You go in there against a weak team. You take it for granted. You take a night off. It's the regular season. If this were a season that started on time,
Second of back-to-back.
this would be December. Yeah, we care.
Second of back-to-back
This would be
on the
approaching
road.
New Year's Eve. That's what this would be right now if the season had started as regularly scheduled. All I'm saying is, listen, LeBron has graduated to a point where it is so grotesquely unfair to look at him in an early regular season game and measure him in any way. This brother is about, April, May, and June, literally or figuratively speaking, the postseason. That's what he gets measured by. To me, what's alarming, if I'm Anthony Davis, here's what I would say to Anthony Davis, my brother. You're finally being recognized with the greatness that you deserve as one of the top 5 players on the planet. If LeBron James at age 36, in his 18th season, is playing more games and more minutes than you, we got a problem. That should not be happening. Because what LeBron is doing, and what I believe he should be teaching Anthony Davis, is that it's one thing when you're a star or a superstar quality talent. It's another thing when you're the headline. See, I love for Kobe, God rest his soul. I love for MJ. I love for the elite superstars like LeBron. He's included in that list. That I will put him on that list. In terms of being a headliner and consistently answering the call, showing up to work when you don't want to, because you know everybody's watching and they're coming to see you.
Okay.
And I'm saying
it's a little unfair to AD.
I'm not saying that. I'm not being unfair to AD because I'm not calling him out for anything. I'm saying, keep in mind, AD, that's the responsibility that you have now that you are a champion playing alongside LeBron. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anything wrong yet. I'm just saying let's keep that in mind moving forward for AD.
Kobe Bryant and LeBron James, off the top of my head, throughout most of their primes, usually played in the 70s of games. Like Jordan played 82 games every year. When it wasn't 82, it was 81 or 80. But most of the modern players play in the 70s. This was the second of back-to-back on a road trip. That's why I'm not killing LeBron, of course. And Stephen A., we're not talking about who's the best player in the game. We're not talking about the championship or who's eventually going to win the MVP. I've been making the case. I'm just MVP tracker, regular season, which I don't even like that award. I don't think it's that meaningful, but people care about it. MVP tracker, regular season, at this moment, if you had to vote, Embiid. And last night was, it is close. You say you shouldn't judge him on this little kind of information, but when it's that close, every little bit counts. They just lost to the Pistons without AD.